The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You are now entering the Stone Zone. We have a very special night because tonight you have Roger Stone in the zone and on the phone. That's right. We're taking your calls at 800-848-9222. That's 800-848-9222 right here in the Stone Zone. Many of the things that President Donald Trump is doing on crucial issues like trade, immigration, foreign policy are improving America's and our lives immensely. But the country will not be put on the path to true greatness until Obama-era thugs, including perhaps even the head honcho himself, are held accountable for the crime of seditious conspiracy and, yes, treason. An article by Scott Powell that I saw in the Federalist listed the crimes that, aside from Russiagate, the Obama administration has been responsible for. Obama oversaw Fast and Furious. That was a gun-running operation for the Mexican cartels. It resulted in the tragic death of U.S. Border Patrol agent Brian Terry. Obama's IRS blocked tax exemptions for his political opponents, discriminating on no other basis except for their pro-Christian or pro-constitutional stances. Obama oversaw the Benghazi stand-down and the tragic deaths of our men there, and the subsequent cover-up, which involved Hillary Clinton. Obama gave $1.7 billion in pallets of cash to Iran. That was off the books, subsidizing their terrorist behavior that has now boiled over into war with Israel. Again, you're in the Stone Zone. You've got Roger Stone in the zone and on the phone. We're taking your calls at 800-848-9222. Also, you can email us your questions at stone@stonezone.com. It's easy to get focused on underlings like former CIA Director John Brennan, a former FBI Director James Comey, a former National Security Advisor Susan Rice, or even Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. And, of course, they all deserve to be charged and have a fair trial, after which they should be jailed for their multitude of crimes. But the person at the top of the pyramid, well, we now know that to be none other than Barack Hussein Obama. He oversaw all of these crimes, and these are just the ones we know about. So let's do a thought experiment. If Obama were a diabolical foreign agent sent on a mission to usurp and destroy America from within, would he have acted any different than he did as president? Justice and the rule of law in America will not return until the truth about Obama is completely and totally uncovered. And this demon, who has waged war against our values, is convicted. Now, there is an argument that the recent decision by the U.S. Supreme Court shields the former president from conviction of any crime. I don't believe that that immunity exists after his presidency. And I think what you have here is a continuing seditious conspiracy that leads all the way to the raid in Mar-a-Lago, which, of course, took place in Palm Beach, Florida. The acts of trying to keep him off the ballot, the act of trying to bankrupt him, the act of trying to jail him, the act of accusing him of electoral mischief in the perfectly legal filing of alternative electors are all part of the same continuing seditious conspiracy. One of the questions that I got online today pertained to the question of whether or not these culprits would have to stand trial in the District of Columbia, where you have a 70, I think actually closer to 80% African-American population, and it is overwhelmingly Democrats in terms of a jury pool, not to mention, of course, the judges, all of whom are partisan and exceedingly biased. But because this is a continuing seditious conspiracy, I believe that a grand jury can be convened in South Florida, and I believe that criminal charges will ultimately be brought there. John Solomon of Just the News reports that a prosecutor has already been designated and a grand jury has already been seated. Actually, grand juries, according to Solomon, in both D.C. And Florida. So I think we are about to see justice in this matter. The Russian collusion hoax is the greatest single dirty trick in American history. It's an abuse of power in which the full authority of the United States government and the extraordinary capabilities of our intelligence agencies were weaponized using two pieces of fraudulent evidence, the so-called Steele dossier, which CIA Director John Brennan, FBI Director James Comey, and Mueller witch hunt honcho Andrew Weissman knew was a fugazi. They knew it was a fabrication paid for by Hillary Clinton and her campaign, but they nonetheless used it to rationalize the FISA warrants, which authorized the spying on President Donald Trump's campaign, but also the appointment of Robert Mueller, who we now know was a figurehead. He was, in fact, non compos mentis. This is the largest dirty trick in American history. All right, let's go to the phones. Alice in Ohio, you're in the Stone Zone. Welcome to the zone. What is your question?
Well, thank you very much, and I really enjoy your commentary. I love your show on Sunday and listen to you every night. It's good to know these people are finally going to have to answer to what they did. My question is, I love your recipes. I cannot write that fast. Are you actually going to produce a cookbook?
I am, in fact, going to write a cookbook. It is mostly written, as a matter of fact. Now, as you know, I'm half Hungarian and half Italian from the waist down. And most of my recipes, of course, will be a mixture of Italian and Hungarian. You'll have Hungarian stuffed cabbage, but you'll also have my epic, famous Sunday gravy, which is a recipe I got from my mother, who got it from her mother, who got it from her mother. 1/3 pork, 1/3 beef, 1/3 ground veal. You need a mortgage for the last part. And of course it cooks for about 4 hours. I only use San Marzano tomatoes. That's not a brand of tomato. That's a type of tomato grown in a specific valley, in Italy. So yes, the Stone Zone cookbook is coming. I have to finish this book that I'm writing about the attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan. The government has never issued a final report on the attempt on Ronald Reagan's life. Getting documents from the government through the Freedom of Information Act is largely a waste of time because most of what they give you is almost completely and totally redacted. But I did a lot of hard-edged reporting, interviewing doctors and Secret Service agents and others who were present that fateful day. And that book, which is entitled Bushwhacked, The Real Story of the Attempted Assassination of President Ronald Reagan, should be out by Christmas. Thank you very much for your question. Let's see. We have Pete in Lakewood. Pete, you have a question.
I have a statement. Barack Obama can be charged. Greg Jarrett said he can be charged because what he did violates the purview of his presidency. Mark Levin said the same thing. So did Judge Richard Weinberg, a Democrat. All on the same page. And I bet you if you had Jonathan Turley on, he would say the same thing.
That's an excellent point. Maybe we will invite Jonathan Turley. I have high regard for Mark Levin's legal acumen, and I've seen him make that argument. David Schoen, who I think is probably the most prominent and most capable criminal defense attorney in the country, says that it is his belief that Obama could only be charged after being successfully impeached, but that a president can be impeached after they have left office. That's an argument, by the way, that the Democrats made during President Donald Trump's second impeachment. So they are hoisted on their own petard. I thank you for your question. Let's go to Chip in Oklahoma. Chip, you have a question.
I sure do, Roger. First, it's a pleasure to talk to you. You're a great American, sir. Really admire you and admire all the work that you've done on behalf of MAGA. My question would be, what do you think Trump is going to do on cannabis with the recent news and announcements and all that? So what do you think he's going to do, and what do you think the impact of that will be, and what do you think the long-term plan would be?
It's an excellent question. Based on what the president has said so far, first let me say, starting in 2016 when he entered politics, President Trump has always said that cannabis is a states' rights issue, that the states have a right to decide whether it's legal and for what purposes it is legal. He more recently, as you know, he endorsed a constitutional amendment in Florida that would have completely legalized cannabis, but it takes 2/3 of the vote in Florida. Although the amendment did get more than 50% of the vote, it fell short. I think he's moving in the right direction in the sense that today, cannabis is a Schedule I drug, classified with heroin, for example. And I'm of the personal belief that cannabis is very useful as medicine. There hasn't been enough research into it, but one of the reasons why there has not been enough research is because it is still federally continued to be criminally illegal. So moving it to Schedule III, I think is a step in the right direction. Personally, I think that alcohol is, when it comes to overall health, far more damaging, far more dangerous, yet alcohol is legal, we regulate it, and we tax it. In the end, I would like to see cannabis completely and totally descheduled. I do think that we want to be careful that it is not sprayed with chemicals, that it is regulated and taxed in an appropriate manner. But I do think with more than 38 states now having legal cannabis of some form, many cases medicinal, but in a few cases recreational, it's time to bring federal law in line with state law. Thank you, Chip, for your thoughtful question. Tonight we have Roger Stone in the zone and on the phone. That number, 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222, or go to Stone at stonezone.com. You can send us your questions there as well. Whatever you do, don't touch that dial because we'll be right back.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back into the Stone Zone. Tonight you have Roger Stone in the zone and on the phone at 800-848-9222. That's 800-848-9222. Or you can email us your question at stone@stonezone.com. Here is a question by email from Angelo in Queens, who says, Democrat Zoran Mamdani says that he will remove the statue of Christopher Columbus from New York City. What do you think of this? Well, I think it's a terrible idea. And I can tell you right now that the Italian American Civil Rights League, which is a non-profit organization set up to protect Italian American heritage and culture, would most certainly wage a legal battle to stop the removal of the statue of Christopher Columbus. And I believe that there would be peaceful protests. I think there would be large peaceful protests if the Ayatollah Mamdani were to try that. It's interesting that a new overnight tracking poll by Kaplan and Associates of 1,000 New York City likely voters shows that the three candidates, interestingly enough, of the four candidates, I should say, the lowest unfavorable rating is Mamdani, the Democrat nominee, won the Democrat primary with a very low turnout. He has a net unfavorable of 41, but that is 32 very unfavorable and 9 somewhat unfavorable. Former Democrat Governor Andrew Cuomo, who resigned in disgrace ahead of impeachment, has an extraordinarily high unfavorable. He was 41% very unfavorable, 16% somewhat unfavorable, for a net total of 57. And of course, there's current Mayor Eric Adams. I've never quite seen anything like this. He's at 68 unfavorable. That would be 48 very unfavorable, and only 20% somewhat unfavorable. And of course, there is then also Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa. He clocks in at 40% very unfavorable, only 13% somewhat unfavorable. So Sliwa's unfavorable rating, and therefore his ability to potentially gain, almost matching Mamdani at 41. Now, in the latest head-to-heads in the Kaplan poll, it was 38% for Democrat Mamdani, 23% for Independent Andrew Cuomo, 13% for Mayor Eric Adams, and 18% for Republican Curtis Sliwa. That is a gain of 2 for Sliwa. It is a drop from 41 to 38, so a drop of 3 for Mamdani, and unfavorable actually went up. It was previously 5%. It has now gone to 8%. This is very typical of what you see when there is a race in flux, when you have this level of volatility. I point out to you that no candidate has broken 50%, which still shows that this is a race. On the other hand, there is great institutional advantage of just being the Democrat nominee in an overwhelmingly Democrat city. You're tuned in to the Stone Zone here on the Red Apple Audio Networks. We're going to be taking more of your calls at 800-848-9222. Whatever you do, stay with us here in the zone, because we'll be right back.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we're back in the Stone Zone. Tonight you've got Roger Stone in the zone, and on the phone, Harriet in Brooklyn. You've been patiently waiting. Welcome to the Stone Zone, Harriet. What is your question?
You are great. Thank you. You're a patriot. Roger, Mamdani is a jihadist. He's a proxy of Iran. He's a clear and present danger to Western civilization. He's Muslim Brotherhood, and he's a follower of, Hajj Amin el-Husseini, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, who joined with Adolf Hitler to take out Western civilization. I'd like to ask you, sir, he is cracking up now. He is making incendiary statements against our great president, Donald J. Trump. So he's becoming really dangerous, and he's cracking up. I'd like to ask you how the investigations are going with Eddie Antar's brother, and should he join with the investigation services, the secret services in Washington, to investigate this bastard, because he is he's out to destroy us in New York, and this will spread like a cancer to every state in the union. Being a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, he's very secretive, and I'd like to know how all this stuff is going. Maybe all the investigative services like Bo Dietl and Eddie Antar and all would coalesce and go after him. Thank you, Roger.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Harriet. It is, of course, his policies that are most troubling. When you want to defund the police, when you say that violence is a social construct, though violence is a serious problem, when you want to do away with cash bail, when you think that the answer to all of our problems is increasing taxes on white people, I didn't say it, he did, which really means is a tax increase on the working people of New York City, large businesses will flee, small businesses will flee, and of course, in the meantime, he's offering the masses hope and change and free everything. I honestly agree that he continues to say the Intifada is a legitimate political position. Yet the latest polls show that he still commands 43% among Jewish American voters in New York City, which is extremely hard to understand. Now, Sam Antar with White Collar Fraud tells me he has a bombshell report coming. I don't know the specifics. He tells me it will be ready Sunday. I'm looking forward to reporting on that. But right now, the Ayatollah Mamdani is leading in the race for mayor with a divided opposition. The sad part is, if you got any of these candidates out of the race, and I don't think that any of them are going to get out of the race, but I think the low man is the candidate who should get out of the race. That would be Eric Adams. He has continued to trail at 13%. His unfavorable rating at 68% shows that he has no upward mobility, and that he has a fruitless quest ahead. If he dropped, I'm still not certain that a number of those votes would not shift to Mamdani. I'm not sure that it is enough, but we're watching it very, very closely. And I thank you so much for joining us tonight in the zone. Here is another question. This comes from Alex in Columbus, Ohio, who says, Barack Obama says that the Senate Intelligence Committee report demonstrates that there was Russian collusion in the 2016 election, and that therefore all of these claims by Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, are false. Well, the Senate Intelligence Committee report, I've been through every page of it. It's a pasted up collection of all of the claims against Donald Trump and his supporters. That's not proof. Those are accusations. This looks like a cut and paste from the Huffington Post. I can tell you firsthand, I think there are 5 references to me in the report, and every one of them is factually, categorically false. I think, frankly, Alex, they are busted. We now have hard evidence of a seditious conspiracy that was first approved by Hillary Clinton. We have the classified email that proves that she specifically approved the Russian collusion hoax to distract from the illegal email server issue, which was majorly problematic for her, and also to sow doubt about the legitimacy of Donald Trump's presidency. So I reject the Senate Intelligence Committee report as bunk. And I think that the mainstream media trying to trivialize the hard evidence that Tulsi Gabbard has brought forward, well, that's not going to work in a court of law. Alex, thank you for your question. You're tuned into the Stone Zone here on the Red Apple Audio Networks. President Donald Trump is reportedly getting real with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders, telling them what needs to be done for peace to finally be achieved in the long, protracted war between Russia and Ukraine. Trump addressed the leaders during a conference call on Wednesday, where he stated his goal for the meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin this Friday in Alaska. This will be the first time that the Russian president has been in the United States, even if it is the non-continental United States, the state of Alaska, in some time. This is not just a meeting to feel out where everyone is. A statement for the spokesman for the Russians say that President Trump has made a proposal which the Russians say is acceptable. So I think we are very close to seeing the end of this war. The president has stated that land swaps would need to happen for a peace deal to take place, but ultimately said Ukraine and Russia would have to come to terms on that. The president hopes that he can bring both sides together for an immediate ceasefire. Zelensky and European leaders, of course, have fought back, arguing that President Trump's meeting with Putin was a bad idea, that more sanctions should be put on Russia and its partners, and more weapons and millions more of our tax dollars should be shipped to Ukraine. I frankly think the American people have had it with this war. I also think it is abundantly clear that no matter how much we send the Ukrainians, they cannot win this war. They're now at the point where we are conscripting 14-year-olds. This, I think, is drawing to a close. It is I think will be the crowning achievement for Donald Trump. He has already achieved a ceasefire between Pakistan and India. He's ended the war between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. He has a ceasefire right now between Iran and Israel. He takes his mandate for peace very, very seriously. And if he is successful this Friday in Alaska, in bringing the Russian and Ukrainian conflict to an end, well, then he most definitely deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. Remains to be seen, of course, whether that globalist Norwegian-based committee will give him the award. Any ignoring of the president's position, I think, will delay the inevitable. I don't believe there is a path forward for Ukraine to achieve victory. There'll only be more Ukrainians and Russians sent to their unnecessary deaths because of the delusions of grandeur of the Zelensky and his delusional supporters in the West. So we must all pray, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent or you're non-political, we all must pray the president's meeting with Vladimir Putin will be successful and lead ultimately to peace in the region. You're tuned in to the Stone Zone right here on the Red Apple Audio Networks. Here is a question. This comes from, this is from Thomas in Cincinnati. Thomas asks, how do you think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing in his fight to make America healthy again? That is an excellent question. I think Robert F. Kennedy is a standout in President Trump's cabinet. I think his doing away with the mRNA vaccination program is a major blow to big pharma. I also support his fight to end big drug companies from advertising on radio and television. We don't have advertising for cigarettes. We don't have advertising for alcohol. Those things are restricted. I think we should, in fact, restrict advertising from big pharma. So I think Robert Kennedy has done a spectacular job under a relentless attack by big pharma. I can tell you, having lived inside the swamp for many years, that the big pharmaceutical companies have enormous political power in Washington. They have deep war chests to reward their supporters and punish their enemies. So I think Robert Kennedy is off to a very, very strong start. Again, tonight you have Roger Stone in the zone and on the phone. That number, 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. We'll be happy to take your questions. Tony in Clifton, New Jersey. Tony, you've got a question.
Hi, Roger. Thank you for taking my call. So I would say that we're living in a time seeing the greatest president of all the presidents. He's done so much in such a short time, and he's so amazing. And yet I see a threat to our country with communism. We're all talking about the different influences in our government, in our own government. What do you think about extending the oath of office? The oath of office was extended after the Civil War. It was extended after the Cold War. And I think now we're in a post-Biden 4-year war that we're recovering from, and we have so much communism in our government. What do you think about the extended oath of office, sir?
I'm a constitutionalist, and therefore I'm unfortunately, as much as I love Donald Trump, and I think that he could serve, at least physically, mentally, in terms of capability, another 4-year term at the end of this one. I disagree with Steve Bannon, who constantly says, between, say, he himself is running in 2028, which candidly is a joke. Americans like candidates who bathe. And supporting Donald Trump for another term. The president is in fact limited to 2 terms. Now, the Constitution doesn't say those have to be 2 consecutive terms. He's already obviously served 1 term. We're not even a year into his 2nd term. But I think it is abundantly clear that he has no intention of running again or trying to extend the oath of office. I would have to say that some kind of extenuating emergency would be required. I don't see that happening. I think it would be extra constitutional, and I'm still a constitutionalist. Although the president certainly has had warm words for Vice President J.D. Vance in recent days within the Republican Party, of which I'm a longtime member, having left only briefly to join the Libertarians when the GOP nominated Mitt Romney. Couldn't stand that guy. We do give a giant leg up to a sitting vice president in our party. We believe in hegemony. We believe in the natural order of things. So assuming that J.D. Vance continues to perform as he has, I think he'd be a strong front runner. And I think he among others, Marco Rubio, I like him. Tulsi Gabbard, I love her. I've said on the show she will be the first woman president. May not be in 2028, but it will happen in our lifetime. We have a deep bench in our party. Who do the Democrats have? Kamala Harris? Seriously? Bernie Sanders? Isn't he 101 years old? Jasmine Crockett in AOC, that'd be a heck of a ticket. J.D. Pritzker, I mean, last time that guy came to New York City, they wanted to make him his own borough. I mean, in his high school yearbook, I saw him on page 41, 42, and 43. Guy has his own zip code. He's not going to be president of the United States. Anyway, you are tuned in here to the Stone Zone with Roger Stone. Tonight we have Roger Stone in the zone and on the phone at 800-848-9222. And we'll be right back to take a few more of your questions. We appreciate you joining us in the zone tonight. God bless you for being here. Whatever you do, don't touch that dial because, well, we'll be right back.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And you're back in the Stone Zone. We're also taking your questions online. Here is a question from Tony in Montclair, New Jersey, who says, I saw a video of you this weekend in Las Vegas speaking with General Flynn and Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Is it true that you have a tattoo of Richard Nixon on your back? No, it is absolutely true. I have a tattoo on my back. It's about the size of a grapefruit, floats between my shoulder blades, and it's really not a political statement. What it is a daily reminder when I see it in the mirror that in life, when things don't go your way, when you get knocked down, when you suffer defeats and disappointments, when you're ready to quit, that is the time that you have to get up off the mat and get back in the fight, get back in the game. See, the story of Richard Nixon, who was my mentor, to me it's a story of persistence and resilience. It's an American story. It was President Donald Trump who said, the greatness comes not when things go always good for you, but when you take some knocks, you suffer some defeats, when sadness comes. Because until one has been in the deepest valley, one cannot appreciate the majesty of the highest mountaintop. He also said, a man is not finished when he is defeated. He's only finished when he quits. So this is why I have that tattoo, which makes it impossible to be anonymous when you're naked, and gets a lot of strange looks at the beach, but I guess that's the way it is. And a telltale sign of the political realignment that's underway nationwide, money from the Brotherhood of Teamsters Union is now flowing into the coffers for the first time of the Republican Party, as they are happy with President Trump's America First trade policies, and they're sick of the Democrats who become the party of illegal immigrants rather than workers. Teamsters Union President Sean O'Brien was quoted as saying, where the Democrats lost, they fell in love with their captors. They fell in love with big money. They fell in love with big tech, and they forgot who they're supposed to be representing, working people. You know why? Because they're not in their communities, not in the neighborhoods. They're not talking to the people that they're paid to represent. In the second quarter of 2025, the Teamsters Political Action Committee gave $5,000 to the Republican Congressional Committee and $62,000 to various House Republican candidates, many of whom are in tightly contested districts. These donations might not yet be massive, but they do represent a shift in millions of blue-collar, working-class voters who would never even have considered voting for the Republican Party before Donald Trump came along and came down that golden escalator. Donald Trump has changed forever the image of the Republican Party. It is no longer the party of big business, no longer the party of Wall Street, no longer the party of the country clubs and the financial elite. It has become the party of the working class, and that is why Donald Trump won, while candidates like Mitt Romney and John McCain were narrowly defeated. The Democrat Party has become the party of war, the party of censorship, the party of corporate elitists, and the party of trade restrictions. It is the Republican Party that I think is now part of a realignment in which common sense Democrats like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democrat, now a Republican, Governor Rod Blagojevich of Illinois, have found common sense and common cause with the Republican Party of Donald Trump. This is a massive and I think permanent realignment in the country as the Democrat Party, the old party of John F. Kennedy and Harry Truman, party that once believed in free enterprise, capitalism, strong national defense, and, well, God. That party literally no longer exists. The Democrat Party is now the party of the Ayatollah Mamdani, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Bernie Sanders, and the radical progressive, and indeed the Marxists. Thanks for joining us today in the Stone Zone. We appreciate your questions both on the phone and by email. Until tomorrow, God bless you and Godspeed.
Thanks for listening to The Stone Zone with Roger Stone. You can hear The Stone Zone with Roger Stone weeknights at 8 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?